Hi everyone. All right, so in honor of Earth Day, which is this Wednesday, April 22nd, we are going to be doing a landscape collage. And so here are the materials you're going to need. I'm going to be using a larger sheet of white paper. The thicker the paper you have, the better. Mine is just a really thin piece of paper. It's just a larger sheet of kind of 11 by 17 computer paper. If you don't have that, you can always use a smaller one. That works fine too. You'll just have to use less of our other materials. Okay, I'm also going to be using crayons, and you'll need either a pencil or a black marker. I'm going to use my black marker instead of my pencil, but like I said before in my other videos, if you feel more comfortable drawing things with a pencil first and then tracing over it with a black marker, that's fine too. And you'll also need some white glue. That's really important. I would not use a glue stick for this, and you'll see why in a moment. All right, the next thing you're going to need is a variety of leaves. And I kind of have a bunch of stuff. I went on a little nature walk this morning and just around my neighborhood. And these are all things that I found on the ground, which is really important. I don't want you guys picking anything from any bushes or plants. There's a ton of things that you can find on the ground, especially since it's been a little windy lately. So I have a bunch of things. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to use them all, but this is a really good smattering of ideas. So I have, this one was all together, and I found this around the ground. I have some different green leaves. I have these really cool kind of seed pods that are green when they're on the tree, and then when they fall on the ground, they turn brown and they're a little prickly, so be careful of those. I really like these. I found these, and this is just from a different kind of a tree. It's a whole leaf that fell, but I'm going to incorporate these later. You'll see these are going to be the mainstay of my project. Anything that you find is great. If all you can find are green leaves, or all you can find are these reddish kind of leaves, anything works. These are also really neat. These are little flowers from bougainvillea plants, which are kind of all around in San Diego as well. So I put them on a tray and I grouped them into different sections, which will make it easier for me to choose what I want to do. Okay, or which ones I want to use. Here's something I also want to mention, is having a variety of sizes will come in very, very handy for this project as well. So here I have kind of a medium-sized one, a little bit of a smaller one. I have a larger leaf here. Same goes with this. If all you can find are this shape of leaf, maybe a larger one would be good, and then some smaller ones as well. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute, and here's how we're going to start. So we are going to be doing a landscape picture and incorporating a collage on top of it with found objects from kind of our nature walk. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, instead of drawing it with pencil first, I'm just going to go straight to marker. But if you want to draw with pencil first, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is draw a very, very simple landscape, and I'm going to be drawing 3 kind of rolling hills. I'm going to do a sun, some clouds, and some birds. So I'm going to start first with my rolling hills. So I'm just going to go from the bottom of the paper over 1, 2, and I'm going to do 3. And if you can see, these are fairly large. And so when you do this at home, you want it to take up you can kind of measure off about half your paper, if that's more helpful. And you want it to take up about the lower half of the paper. You don't want to do it too small, or you're going to end up with not a lot of space to be able to put your plants on. Okay, then I'm going to do a sun, and I'm going to do my sun in the middle of the paper. I'm just going to do a round, and I want to do some shapes because I want to color it in and make it look pretty neat. And if you just do lines radiating out from your sun, that's fine too, except that you don't end up having a shaped color in for your sun. So I'm going to just make this however I want here, kind of a whimsical sun here. There you go. Okay, and I'm going to add some clouds. And the reason I'm doing this is to fill up my paper, to make it a really nice looking landscape. So I have some clouds, and then I'm just going to put some little birds in here. And I'm doing this you can once again do this in pencil and then trace over it with black marker, or you can just do it straight in black marker if you feel more comfortable. All right, so I'm going to get in my entire landscape first, and then what I'm going to do is put my marker away. I'm not gonna draw anything down here. That's it, just really simple. And then what I'm gonna do is use my crayons and I'm gonna color this in. All right, and we'll be right back. Hi everyone. All right, so I have just finished coloring my landscape picture. So what I've done is, we talked about this before, is done my directional coloring. So everything is going in the same direction. So all of my crayon lines are going in one direction. All right, so I also colored in very lightly, and just to kind of switch it up a little bit and give it an interesting composition here, I used green, but I used a darker green in the background for one hill, and I used a lighter green, and then this I used a combination of both colors because I didn't have 3 different colors of crayons, of green crayons. Okay, so I've colored all that in, and now here comes the really fun part, is what I'm gonna do is, before I glue anything down, I'm going to pick some of my leaves and I'm going to make these, transform them from leaves into their own trees. So what we're gonna do is, we also, in this project, we're talking about a little bit of perspective, and we have the foreground, middle ground, and background. So things that are in the front, in the foreground, are larger, and things that are in the background are smaller. Okay, and that gives a little bit of perspective. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna kind of lay out some of these things to figure out where I want them, and where I'm going to have things that are smaller and where I'm gonna have things that are larger. So for example, I really like these because they look like trees to me. So what I'm gonna do is, I want that to kind of be, that's gonna be a smaller one because it's behind. These are clearly larger, so they're gonna go in the front, and I'm gonna have them come right from there. This one's medium. Might have that kind of be right there. And I might not end up using all of these. Okay, I also really like these. These are really fun. They're big. So what's gonna happen is, you have to kind of decide whether that can be its own kind of a tree back there. Maybe I'll use 2 of those just to kind of give it a little bit of some interesting composition. Okay, and here's another thing I'm gonna do is, I want to kind of fill up my page here. Let's see, maybe I'll do one of these to kind of have it look like a different kind of a tree here. And I'll move this down, maybe make this over here because it's a little smaller. All right, here's another idea that I had, is you can use these bougainvillea flowers to kind of make your own little, like kind of a pretend makeshift bush over here. So watch, if you kind of lay these out and put these on top, it almost looks like you made your own bush over here. That's kind of neat, like a shrub that you see when you go on a walk too. That's really fun. I like that. And it also brings a little color over to the side of the picture. Okay, so you can use as many as you want in there, but you want to try to remember to get good perspective in there. I have kind of an open hole right here, or an open space, so I might add 1 more of these in here. Okay, once you get to this part, I want you to lay it all out first before you glue it. Now, the white glue is going to come in very important because you cannot use glue stick clearly to do this. It won't work at all. So what I'm going to do is, I am going to get my glue, and remember, make sure that you hear it breathe. Turn it over, and I'm going to show you on one of these, and then we'll come back to the finished product. Is what I'm going to do is, this is very helpful. Have a side piece of paper to put your glue on your leaf. What will happen is, naturally, this is going to be a lot of glue on here, and it's going to make a big goopy mess. So instead of putting it on here and getting glue everywhere, I'm going to put it on the side. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to kind of drip my glue, like dab, 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 over the side of it. Actually, even put it down if I want. And I'm going to, of course, because this is round, it's not going to stick very well on top of it, but just do your best. You don't have to use a ton, just kind of on here. Okay. Now, just dabbing it on there, not going to just use gobs and gobs all over there or kind of make a mess. Okay, then what I'm going to do is put it on my paper, and yes, there will be some on the front, that's fine. And all I have to do is kind of press it down. Now, if some of it sticks down and some of it doesn't, like this is clearly happening right here, that's okay. Just do whatever kind of works on there. And you know, maybe for the next one, I'll just do glue on the center and that might work too. Okay. When you get to something like this, what you'll kind of have to do is kind of see where it is. And then I suggest I'm gonna go back and kind of, this is where you might want to do kind of a gob of glue. And because this is sticking up more than this, I'm just gonna do the top, not the bottom, because it won't really stick down very well. Figure out where that sticks, okay? Leave it right there. All right, and we'll be right back and I'll show you my glued finished product. Okay, so I'm just finishing up the last part, and for some of these leaves or flowers, you're gonna wanna probably spread a little bit of the glue on the page. It might make it a little bit easier. Okay, so now I have my landscape Earth Day collage, and we have the larger in the front in the foreground, we have the middle size ones in the middle ground, and some smaller things in the background to kind of give it some perspective. And make sure that you put this somewhere very carefully to dry because it's going to be extremely wet and kind of gluey. So now down here we have a really nice balanced landscape picture. All right, enjoy the project and have a great Earth Day.